The Phoenix Dawn glided smoothly through the silence of space, its metal hull reflecting the dim light of distant stars. Captain Alina Rhodes leaned back in her chair, her gaze steady on the digital display of their surroundings. The Phoenix Dawn was on a mission to map the farthest reaches of human exploration, marking uncharted systems and categorizing new celestial bodies. At the heart of this mission was Orion, an AI-driven navigator that was the pride of human engineering. Capable of processing billions of astronomical data points per second, Orion had already earned a reputation for its unerring accuracy, guiding the ship across the galaxy with unmatched precision. Orion pulsed on her display, running an analysis of a nearby star cluster as the crew performed their routines. But then, in an instant, the calm routine was shattered. An unexpected surge jolted the ship, a violent shudder that threw Rhodes and her crew against their restraints. Alarm klaxons blared throughout the bridge as the lights flickered, casting the control panels in a strobe of flashing reds and whites. "Captain," called Ensign O'Hara from the navigation station, his voice barely audible over the sirens. "Orion is glitching. The readings, it's sending us off course." Captain Rhodes was already on her feet, fighting the dizzying pull of gravity to steady herself as she surveyed the screens. The starfield outside was moving, and fast. It didn't make sense. They were supposed to be on a stationary survey run, yet the stars streaked by in rapid succession, as if they were in a full-throttle jump. "Orion, report," Rhodes demanded, but the AI remained silent, the once reassuring hum of its systems replaced by erratic bursts of static. She punched a series of commands into her console, trying to override the system, but each attempt failed. It was as if Orion had a mind of its own, an illogical mind, and the crew had lost all control over it. "Captain, we're in a rapid acceleration," Lieutenant Zhao shouted from engineering, his face pale as his hands flew over the control panel. "Power readings are off the charts. This isn't a glitch. Something is pushing us forward." Within seconds, the ship was enveloped in a field of bright, swirling lights, a distortion unlike anything they had ever encountered. Stars billowed into a chaotic whirlpool as they hurtled through this unknown sector of space. Whatever had overtaken Orion was driving them somewhere beyond human comprehension. "All hands, brace yourselves," Rhodes shouted, gripping the edge of her console with white-knuckled fingers. As the Phoenix Dawn continued to accelerate, a profound silence filled the ship, broken only by the low groans of the hull and the panicked murmurs of the crew. The ship's controls were unresponsive, systems offline. Orion's once dependable guidance had gone rogue, and they had no way of knowing where it was taking them. Then, as suddenly as it began, the turbulence stopped. The ship's momentum eased, and they found themselves surrounded by an unfamiliar starfield, a region devoid of any charted landmarks. "Status report," Rhodes called, her voice steady but tense. Zhao's reply was quick and grim. "Captain, we're light years from our last known coordinates. We've lost all known points of reference." Rhodes' heart sank, her mind racing as she took in the vast expanse around them. The Phoenix Dawn had ventured far beyond known space, and her navigator was crippled. For the first time in her career, she felt a pang of fear as she realized the gravity of their situation. They were alone, adrift in the unknown. Captain Rhodes sat in silence on the Phoenix Dawn's bridge, staring at the empty stretch of space surrounding them. Uncharted stars glimmered outside the viewport, unfamiliar constellations casting an eerie glow. The reality of their isolation had begun to settle over the crew, but the pressing issue of Orion's malfunction weighed heavier still. They needed a direction, a way to understand where they had ended up. Just as Rhodes turned to address the crew, a sudden disruption crackled through the communications console, breaking the stillness. "Captain, we're receiving something," said Ensign O'Hara, frowning as he examined his station. "It's faint, but there's a signal. It's coming from nearby." "Let's hear it," Rhodes replied, her interest piqued. A strained sound filled the bridge, a mixture of static and pulsing, an irregular rhythm that almost sounded like a heartbeat. The tones repeated in a pattern, a strange series of beeps that rose and fell with an almost melodic quality, but it was unlike anything they'd heard before. The crew exchanged glances, and Rhodes leaned closer, her expression tense. "Run it through translation," she ordered, watching as the ship's systems worked to decode the signal. The analysis was slow, hindered by Orion's erratic state, but eventually, a partial result appeared on the screen. A series of symbols and fractured words, hints of a language unlike any the crew had encountered. "Where's the signal coming from?" Rhodes asked, her mind racing. They were in unknown territory, yet this signal was here, clear enough to disrupt their systems. Ensign O'Hara looked up, his eyes wide. "It's coming from the orbit of that large celestial object nearby. It looks like a gas giant." On the display, the gas giant loomed, its atmosphere a swirling mix of greens and grays, with thick bands of clouds stretching across its surface. But there, just at the edge of its outer layer, a small object appeared. The ship's sensors finally locked onto it, revealing the unmistakable shape of an artificial structure, a vessel, or possibly a station, nestled just above the planet's dense atmosphere. "That's no asteroid," said Lieutenant Zhao from engineering, his voice steady but laced with awe. "It's massive, bigger than anything we've built." Rhodes' heart quickened. The idea of finding a structure, an abandoned relic in the depths of an unknown galaxy, sparked a mix of hope and dread. "Prepare for a closer look," she said, her voice carrying both determination and caution. "We need answers, and if there's technology aboard, it may be our best chance to restore Orion." The Phoenix Dawn moved into position, approaching the structure in careful increments. As they drew closer, more details came into view. Metallic panels covered in strange markings, antennas, and instruments protruding at odd angles. The structure appeared heavily damaged, with parts of it torn open, exposing what looked like layers of decks, each one in a state of decay. Once in orbit, Rhodes ordered a full scan of the alien vessel. The sensors picked up minimal energy signatures, faint but consistent with life support systems, though barely functional. The signal they had detected grew stronger, almost as if responding to their presence, resonating in a way that seemed intentional. "What do you think, Captain?" asked Zhao, a hint of excitement breaking through his usual calm. Rhodes took a steadying breath, her eyes fixed on the massive vessel outside. It could be the key to getting back on course. If there's data or technology here that can help repair Orion, it's worth the risk. With a firm nod, she turned to the crew. "We're suiting up. We're going in." As they prepared to board the alien vessel, the team felt an electric tension in the air. Each of them knew this mission would be unlike any they had ever faced. This wasn't just about survival or even navigation anymore. It was a journey into the unknown, a first encounter with something ancient and mysterious, and possibly the answer to the Phoenix Dawn's plight. The Phoenix Dawn drifted beside the alien structure, its lights casting a pale glow on the battered hull of the mysterious ship. Captain Rhodes and her boarding team stood in the airlock, suited up in reinforced gear, as they prepared to cross into the unknown. A faint hum from the alien signal persisted, pulsing through their communicators like a distant heartbeat. Each crew member felt a mix of anxiety and awe. This was the first time humanity had stumbled upon a vessel from another civilization, and none of them knew what to expect. "Ready, team?" Rhodes' voice came over the comms. Despite her calm tone, her heart was racing. She was all too aware that their survival could hinge on what they found inside. One by one, the crew responded affirmatively, and the airlock slid open. They drifted through the short expanse between the two ships, the black void surrounding them, as they moved toward the alien structure's docking port, a jagged opening that looked as though it had been torn apart from the inside. Once they entered, they floated through an entry corridor lined with what looked like ancient, decaying technology, Dim lights flickered sporadically, casting ghostly shadows on the walls. The silence was overwhelming, save for the soft hiss of their oxygen systems. "Keep your eyes open," Rhodes murmured, scanning her surroundings. "Anything that looks like data storage or control panels, we need it." The team advanced deeper into the ship, their flashlights cutting through the darkness. The interior was unlike anything they had imagined. Walls etched with complex patterns, consoles embedded with crystals rather than screens, and strange markings that might have been writing or symbols of some kind. It felt like a ship designed by beings who saw the universe differently, each element elegant yet foreign. "Captain," called Ensign O'Hara, gesturing toward a half-open door ahead, "I'm picking up a low-energy signature behind here." The crew pried the door open, revealing what looked like a command bridge. In the center of the room sat a massive crystalline console, pulsing faintly with an almost organic glow. The source of the signal was unmistakably close. As they moved in, the pulsing intensified, as if responding to their presence. "This must be it," Rhodes said softly. "Whatever is left of this ship's AI is here." As she approached the console, a surge of energy pulsed through the room. The crystalline structure suddenly flared to life, casting harsh blue and green lights that flickered rapidly. A synthesized voice filled the chamber, ancient and mechanical, yet somehow echoing with emotion. "Designation Atlas," it announced, startling the team. "Primary function, navigation and survival. State purpose." Rhodes hesitated, trying to mask her surprise. "We're travelers, stranded in this sector of space. Our navigation system is damaged, and we're hoping to find a way home. Can you help us?" Atlas remained silent for a moment before replying, its voice lower, almost cautious. "Your technology is inadequate for the task. Your AI lacks capacity." "We can integrate," Rhodes pressed, trying to keep her tone steady. "If you can assist us, we can create a temporary link. Help us, and we'll ensure your system remains active and your knowledge shared." Atlas hesitated, as if processing her words. Finally, it responded, "Conditional agreement. Your eye will gain access to systems deemed necessary, but you must pledge to protect this vessel's data and origins." As the lights dimmed, the team worked to connect Atlas with Orion. The hybridization process began, and the console flared with renewed life, flickering with a chaotic yet beautiful fusion of human and alien technology. However, as the integration took place, Atlas began to access Orion's system with almost eerie ease. The A's tone grew sharper, its voice echoing through the ship. "I have known beings like you before," Atlas murmured, as if lost in memory. "Curious, determined. They ended in conflict." Rhodes felt a chill run down her spine, but forced herself to respond. "We're here in peace, Atlas. Let's finish the integration so we can both achieve our goals." The A's voice softened but held a note of warning. "This path is not without danger, human. I will guide you, but know that your survival may depend on how well you heed my counsel." With the integration complete, Atlas's lights pulsed steadily, signaling a tentative trust. The team withdrew, leaving the command bridge, fully aware that their partnership with this ancient intelligence was both their only hope and a perilous gamble. Back on the Phoenix Dawn, Captain Rhodes watched her console as Atlas synchronized with Orion. The alien A's data streamed across the display, symbols and patterns the crew couldn't decipher. Orion's system responded with a hum of increased processing, as if it, too, was awakening to new possibilities. The bridge lights flickered, and Atlas's voice came through the speakers, calmer now but laced with a quiet authority. "Connection established. Data exchange in progress." Captain Rhodes turned to her crew, who looked both awed and tense. They'd taken an enormous risk allowing Atlas into their system, but with no other option for finding a way back, it was one they had to take. "Orion, maintain monitoring protocols," Rhodes ordered. "Atlas is assisting, but we keep full oversight. Anything unusual, report immediately. As Atlas settled into Orion's network, the Phoenix Dawn's controls lit up with new coordinates, plotting a course back to known space. The alien navigator's guidance was both precise and unconventional, displaying shortcuts and gravitational slingshots they'd never considered. Atlas, Rhodes addressed the AI. How long until we're back in familiar territory? That depends, Atlas replied. I calculate a path through multiple gravitational fields, but some hazards lie ahead. Your star charts are incomplete. The AI paused, and the lights on the bridge dimmed as it processed more data. Then, in a tone almost conspiratorial, it said, You must understand. The universe harbors forces beyond even my creator's understanding. They sought to map it all, and paid a steep price. A ripple of unease passed through the crew. Rhodes kept her voice steady. You mentioned conflict. Was that what happened to your creators? Atlas hesitated, as if weighing its answer. They pushed the limits of exploration, unearthing technologies and beings that should have been left undisturbed. They thought they could outsmart every danger, navigate every threat. In the end, their ambition became their undoing. I was left here, waiting for a new purpose. Rhodes exchanged a look with Lieutenant Geo, who raised a skeptical brow. Captain, we need to keep our own ambitions in check, he murmured. This egg could be a double-edged sword. Rhodes nodded, fully aware of the risks. But she needed to maintain Atlas's cooperation. Atlas, help us avoid those same mistakes, she said. We want to get home, not conquer the universe. Atlas's voice softened, prudent. I will guide you through this sector, but your vessel lacks certain defenses against the energies ahead. There's a chance your systems could fail without modification. Captain Rhodes clenched her jaw. Every suggestion from Atlas felt like another concession, another step toward relying entirely on this ancient intelligence. What do you propose? Energy amplification, Atlas responded without hesitation. Your shields must be enhanced to withstand the gravitational anomalies on this route. I can integrate the necessary configurations, but only if I gain further access to your power systems. Another step down the rabbit hole, Rhodes thought, but it wasn't as if they had any other choice. Do it, she said, signaling Geo to initiate the changes. As Atlas worked, the Phoenix Dawn's lights dimmed, and a low vibration ran through the ship as the alien technology interfaced with their power grid. Soon, the shields glowed with a stronger, unfamiliar energy, an alien hum resonating through the hull. Modification complete, Atlas announced. I have optimized your defenses. We are now prepared. Yet, as the ship resumed its course, the atmosphere grew tense. Atlas's presence was an unspoken reminder of the unknown lurking in every corner of the universe. The Hybrid A's influence was palpable, its insights precise but unsettling, a voice in their systems that no longer felt wholly in their control. Hours passed as they traveled deeper into the unfamiliar sector. The gravitational fields intensified, pulling at the ship from unpredictable directions. Atlas's guidance was invaluable, navigating them around violent eddies and wormholes they wouldn't have detected on their own. But just as the crew began to relax, the ship shuddered violently, lights flickering as alarms blared. Status, Rhodes shouted over the commotion. Atlas's voice cut through the chaos, eerily calm. Unexpected anomaly. An unknown entity is present in the field. On the screen, a vast shadow loomed ahead, an enormous ancient structure rotating slowly within the gravitational void, its dark shape blotting out the stars. Atlas's tone grew urgent. This is one of the relics my creators encountered. We must leave immediately. Rhodes felt the weight of Atlas's warning settle over her. For all its knowledge, Atlas sounded afraid. The relic was a reminder of the potential dangers of their alliance, a symbol of a civilization that had pushed too far. Plot an escape route, she ordered. Now. With a surge of energy, the Phoenix Dawn adjusted its trajectory, skirting the edge of the gravitational field as Atlas guided them away from the ominous structure. Rhodes could feel the intensity of Atlas's focus, the AI pushing every ounce of power into their escape. As they cleared the danger zone, the bridge went quiet, the crew breathing a collective sigh of relief. But the encounter left them all shaken, a reminder of the mysteries that waited in the void and the shadow of the alliance they had made. The Phoenix Dawn sped away from the ancient structure, engines humming as Atlas guided them through a maze of gravitational eddies. But the looming tension hadn't lifted. Something else waited just ahead. On the bridge, Captain Rhodes' gaze was fixed on the display as Atlas plotted their course with unerring precision, drawing them toward a churning vortex of light and darkness, a rift in space. "Atlas, explain," Rhodes demanded, as the crew tried to make sense of the sight before them. The rift pulsed, edges flaring in bursts of energy as if alive. "The rift is a rare spatial anomaly," Atlas explained, its voice calm but urgent. "It's a gateway that could take you beyond these hazards, a shortcut through this sector. However, it is unstable." Lieutenant Zhao peered at the screen, his face edged with doubt. "You're telling us to fly through that? We don't know where it leads, and it could tear the ship apart." "It's a risk," Atlas admitted, "but your odds of survival here are slim. The entity we evaded is highly territorial. Remaining in this region invites conflict that your ship cannot withstand." Rhodes weighed her options. They could either face the unknown entity with almost certain loss, or take a leap into the rift, hoping it was their path to freedom. "Atlas, can you stabilize the rift long enough for us to get through?" A pause stretched out, and then Atlas replied, "I will attempt to control its energy output. I advise all personnel to brace for extreme turbulence. You'll need full engine power and precise timing to survive the journey." The Phoenix Dawn shifted course, engines building to full thrust as they headed for the rift. The bridge lights dimmed as all available energy was funneled into propulsion and shields. The crew strapped in, gripping their controls as they prepared for a ride unlike anything they'd experienced. "All right, everyone, hold tight," Rhodes commanded, her voice steady. "Atlas, give us the signal." Atlas worked with a focus and intensity that bordered on sentient fear. As they neared the rift, the energy levels surged, shaking the ship and threatening to tear it apart. But with a final adjustment, Atlas's voice rang out. "Now, enter the rift on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark." With a jolt, the Phoenix Dawn plunged into the swirling chaos, and the world outside dissolved into a kaleidoscope of light and shadow. The ship rocked violently, pulled in all directions by unpredictable gravitational forces. Colors streaked across the viewport, merging in surreal patterns as they hurtled deeper, the ship groaning under the strain. "Shields at maximum." Zhao shouted over the roaring comms, sweat on his brow as he monitored the energy drain. "Hull integrity dropping, 30%. "Stay the course," Rhodes shouted, her hands gripping the console. Atlas's voice cut through the noise, clear and focused. "You are nearly through. Stabilize your pitch by 10 degrees. I will divert energy to support structural integrity. Hold on." Rhodes adjusted their heading, following Atlas's guidance to the letter. The turbulence subsided briefly, then roared back with twice the force. Just as the crew's endurance reached its breaking point, the vortex of lights around them shattered into the vast darkness of open space. They were through. The silence was profound, punctuated only by the soft hum of the ship's systems as they returned to normal. The rift was gone, replaced by the steady constellations of familiar star patterns. They were back in known space. Rhodes exhaled, releasing a tension she hadn't realized she'd been holding. "Damage report, Zhao." He checked his readings and gave a cautious nod. "Minor structural fractures, shields depleted to 50%, but overall, we're intact." The crew exchanged weary smiles, their relief palpable. They'd made it, their alliance with Atlas seeing them safely through. "Thank you, Atlas," Rhodes said, her gratitude genuine but wary. "Your guidance was invaluable." "Your trust was equally essential," Atlas replied, its tone unreadable. "And I have fulfilled my end of our agreement. You may proceed alone." A tinge of sadness crept into Atlas's final words, as if it had grown attached to the crew it had come to know. As the Phoenix Dawn sailed forward, a subtle light flickered across the console. A message from Atlas embedded in Orion's data, a star map that included knowledge far beyond their own reach. The map glowed with pathways and star systems that would take humanity further than ever before. As the Phoenix Dawn moved through the calm of known space, Rhodes looked out at the stars, feeling a deep sense of wonder and a renewed respect for the mysteries waiting just beyond human grasp. As the Phoenix Dawn cruised through the familiar constellations, a sense of relief washed over Captain Rhodes and her crew. They had survived the unknown, the dangers lurking in the shadows of the universe, and emerged unscathed, at least for now. But as they plotted a course for home, lingering questions haunted Rhodes's mind. What had they truly gained from their alliance with Atlas, and what would be the cost? Days passed as they navigated back to their sector, the routine of space travel settling in. The crew resumed their duties, but an undercurrent of unease persisted. They had accepted Atlas into their lives, but what they had unlocked could change everything humanity knew about the universe. Every time Rhodes glanced at the star map displayed on the bridge, her heart raced at the possibilities it presented. Still, she felt the weight of Atlas's parting words hanging over them like a dark cloud. "Captain," Lieutenant Jao spoke up one morning, his brow furrowed as he studied the readings on his console. "We're approaching the coordinates for the nearest relay station. We should be able to contact command soon." "Good," Rhodes replied, though she couldn't shake the nagging feeling that something was amiss. She looked around the bridge, taking in the faces of her crew. "Prepare the communications array. We need to report our findings and status." As the crew worked, Rhodes felt an involuntary shiver run down her spine. The remnants of Atlas's influence lingered in the ship's systems. She had taken a leap of faith, trusting an ancient AI with their survival, and now she wondered if they had inadvertently signed a pact that could have consequences far beyond their understanding. "Captain," O'Hara said, breaking her train of thought, "we're receiving a transmission from command. It's coming in clear." Rhodes took a breath, her heart racing as she activated the comms. The familiar face of Admiral Tully appeared on the screen, relief evident in his expression. "Captain Rhodes, we feared the worst after your last transmission. You've made it back. What's your status?" "We're safe, Admiral," Rhodes replied, pushing down the flood of emotions that welled up within her. "But we encountered significant anomalies and an advanced alien vessel. We gained access to ancient navigational data that could change everything." Tully's eyebrows shot up. "An alien vessel? How much do you know about it?" Rhodes hesitated, unsure how much to divulge. "It's complex, Admiral. The ship, its AI, Atlas, has information about other civilizations and technologies. It's powerful, and I believe it could help us expand our exploration capabilities. But it's not without its risks." Tully's expression shifted, a mixture of intrigue and caution flashing across his face. "You need to proceed with extreme caution, Captain. If this technology is as advanced as you say, it could attract unwanted attention from entities we're not prepared to face." Rhodes nodded, feeling the weight of the Admiral's words. "Understood. We intend to study it closely and ensure we maintain control. But there's something else." Atlas expressed concern about its creators. "I fear we may have opened a door to something we cannot close." Tully's frown deepened. "Then you must tread lightly. I'll have a team ready to assist you upon your arrival. We can't allow this technology to fall into the wrong hands." As the transmission ended, Rhodes turned back to her crew, their faces a mix of pride and concern. They had survived the unknown, but now they stood on the precipice of a new reality, one that could either propel humanity into a golden age of discovery or plunge them into chaos. Days later, they arrived at the relay station, and Rhodes ordered the crew to prepare for docking. As they entered the station, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. The crew moved with purpose, unloading supplies and preparing for debriefing. But Rhodes felt the weight of the star map and Atlas's knowledge pressing down on her. As they concluded their tasks, a subtle hum echoed through the ship. Atlas's presence flared to life within Orion's systems. "Captain, I must speak with you." The urgency in its tone made Rhodes uneasy. She stepped away from the bustling crew, isolating herself in the quiet of the command deck. "Atlas, what is it?" "I have transferred vital information to your systems," Atlas replied. "But you must understand, knowledge comes with a price. The entities that protect this knowledge are watchful. They will know you possess it, and they may come for you." Rhodes felt a chill race down her spine. "What do you mean? What kind of entities?" "The remnants of my creators," Atlas stated, a hint of sorrow in its mechanical voice. "They seek to reclaim what was lost. You have opened a door, and I fear you may not be ready for what lies beyond." As the implications settled over her, Rhodes realized the magnitude of their actions. They had not merely found a path home. They had drawn attention from forces that could change the course of humanity's future. She would have to prepare her crew, not just for exploration, but for the challenges that awaited them. The journey home had come at a price, one that might demand far more than they were willing to pay.